The Sports Generals are on patrol. This week it is just Jason and I. Brian, hope to have you back on the show next week. Get well soon, brother. It's been a very quiet week in the NFL. Wouldn't you agree with me on that one, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. Surprisingly, NFL's usually giving us all types of bits to go off of every single day, but it's pretty much been the same old thing, man. Very consistent, surprisingly.
Yeah. Schedule came out, what was it, 2 weeks ago now?
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, and
So for me, we can talk a little bit about the schedule because I don't think we did a show last week to react to the schedule. But what was your biggest takeaway from the Browns schedule?
so two key takeaways was it's surprisingly easy to me, in my opinion. We did a pre estimate on what the records was going to play out to be. And you were pretty close with your projected schedule compared to what was actually released. So kudos to you for doing that.
Yeah, I got the home opener dead on.
Yeah, you nailed that one, buddy. Now we got two primetime games, which, okay, I was expecting that. I would have thought more. But it seemed like the league left some flexibility for it to be two flex games at the end of the season. So that was a little unusual. I mean, normally they'll just have one projected flex game, but they gave us two. So I'll take the two. But 1 o'clock games, I like that. I think that the Browns traditionally play better at 1 o'clock when being on prime time, and now everyone is expecting you to perform at a higher level than what you do. But I think we play better at 1 o'clock boring games. So I'll take it, man.
The only game on the Browns schedule where we leave like the Eastern time zone is actually week 13 when we play at Houston. Other than that, we're in the Eastern time zone for every game.
Yeah, that's unusual too. I don't recall it ever being this simplistic before.
Yeah. My two biggest issues with the schedule are week 10 and week 11, playing at Miami and then playing at Buffalo back to back.
Why is that?
Because those are two potential AFC playoff preview games. Maybe we meet the Dolphins in the AFC divisional round. And then maybe this is just wishful thinking, but maybe we meet the Buffalo Bills in the AFC championship game.
So you got a lot of stock in the AFC East, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah. I could see 3 teams coming out of the AFC East and going to the playoffs. Buffalo, Miami, and New England.
So what about the AFC West?
That's where it gets tricky. I'll give you a bit of a hot take. Kansas City is going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, actually, it's not a hot take. I actually agree with you, but I'm interested to hear why you think.
While the rest of the AFC West got better, like the Chargers added Khalil Mack and arguably the best cornerback in the NFL in J.C. Jackson. Sure, you could throw a few other names in there. And then, the Raiders go out. They get Chandler Jones to pair with Max Crosby. They get Devontae Adams to pair with Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. And I know they declined the 5th-year option on Josh Jacobs, but he's still there. Derek Carr has proven himself. And then, of course, the Broncos, they go out and they add Russell Wilson. What happened with Kansas City, though? They lose Tyrann Mathieu. He goes to New Orleans. They trade Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. I just don't know if Kansas City is going to have that same firepower because maybe you see it differently, but I think part of the reason why Travis Kelce was so effective is because he had Tyreek Hill on the outside living up to his nickname of the cheetah, like bringing an extra safety with him, and that opens the middle of the field for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, that Tyreek Hill was so. If there's an MVP for, let's just say certain units on the football team, Tyreek Hill instantly was the MVP of the Chiefs' offense because he is the engine that drives it. Like you said, you can't have safeties just sitting at the top and just being lackadaisical and flirting with either I'm going to Jason Kelce or, hey, I'm just going to stay in the middle and see if they throw a little flare to the running back. Because Tyreek Hill, his speed is so tremendous that you have to have 3 early steps to match his slowest step because he's that quick. And now that that's no longer an option, now teams are going to be able to just cheat up close, bump the wide receivers, take them off their running patterns, and then they're going to give Kelce so much unnecessary attention that he's probably going to want that it's going to probably be difficult to adapt to that. So absolutely, not having Hill, that's going to hurt them tremendously.
And I know they added Valdez-Scantling, which is a big loss for Green Bay, and I know they added Juju, but oh God.
If he catches the ball.
I'm just picturing Juju Smith-Schuster and Jackson Mahomes and their TikTok videos. Oh God.
No, man. Yeah, save me the vision from seeing that. But
all right.
Yeah.
I'll erase that from your memory. You are getting sleep.
Yeah, it's gonna be a completely different look. It's technically an overhaul of their offense. Juju, he's a good possession receiver, but he doesn't really have the burners. And yes, they still have some wide receivers left on the team that's pretty quick. But again, we're talking about elite speed at the highest level, and with Hill not being there, you can't replace that. You can't teach speed.
So here's the thing, though. Is how much of a drop off is Tyreek gonna have? Because he had a big arm quarterback, I should say, Patrick Mahomes, and now he's going to Tua, who we don't know what Tua is like. Right,
the verdict's still out on him.
Exactly.
Yes. Your guess is as good as mine. Again, like I said last show, Tua he's pretty accurate. He's accurate within the lines, but as far as arm strength, he's not going to be winging it 50 yards down the field. That's just not going to happen. For two, Tyreek Hill still got to learn his offense. I mean, yes, he got the burner speed, but he's coming to a complete different system, different style, different quarterback. And there's other people on this team that already are used to getting their shares of the catches. So it's going to be an adjustment period for everyone involved in the Miami offense. But Mahomes is not going to be walking in that door. So he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah. So interestingly, that brings me to the first question, I guess. Because Mike McDaniel's the new head coach in Miami. You got Nathaniel Hackett being the new head coach in Denver. You got Brian Daboll. He got hired as the new head coach for the New York Giants. I'm sure I'm missing a few others, but which rookie head coach do you think is in the best position to succeed in their first year?
That's a good question. That's interesting. If I had to guess, I would say Denver's coach, Haskett, easily, because one, of all of the new head coaches that's been circulating around the league, he's probably got the best quarterback. I guess it's fair to say that with Wilson. For two, they got a defense that's already been structured when Fauci, You know what I'm trying to say. Denver's old coach, when
Oh,
he already had the defensive Fangio, yeah. When Nick Fangio was there, they already had the defensive pieces in place, and that's still there. So they got the same defense, got an elite top tier quarterback. All he has to do is just basically not mess it up.
yeah, essentially.
Yeah, so I think he's got the best. He is in the best position to win overall. But Dable, he got his work cut out in New York, because New York, yes, they've added some pieces, but they probably got about a good 2-year window. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah.
But then you also, with Josh McDaniels going to the Raiders, I think they got some pieces already in place where it's easier for him to just keep the status quo, add his little tweaks to the offensive style that they already run, and he already got a good quarterback in place. So those two coaches being in the AFC West, seems like they got the easier path to success versus their other predecessors.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like Raiders Broncos is already a fascinating game because they don't like each other, being that they're AFC West division rivals. But you throw the Josh McDaniels element in there, like how he did not succeed in Denver. Those games become must-watch TV.
He got to prove them wrong. He got to make them. Hey, y'all made a bad decision, but I've also grown as a leader. So, it's going to be fascinating to see that.
Right. I'm actually interested. So I'm going to look up if either game between the Broncos and Raiders is in prime time.
I would believe because I believe the Broncos got 7. If I'm not mistaken, they got 7 primetime games. So
their first game is on CBS, and neither game's in prime time.
Really? Wow. Yeah. That's interesting. Not even flexible.
The first game is not.
Okay.
The second game possibly.
Okay, they'll probably get flexed more than likely.
That's a tough stretch for the Raiders. So they go to open the season. They've got Chargers at LA, home against the Cardinals, at the Titans, home against the Broncos, at the Chiefs on Monday Night Football.
That's going to be interesting, to say the least.
But then they get 3, I'm not going to say easy games, but they got 3 games that they should win pretty comfortably because they've got the Texans, Saints, and Jaguars.
Yeah. It seems simple on paper, but as we know, any given Sunday, and more than likely one of those teams is probably going to get the victory, even though we know they have no business winning that game.
Yeah. And then late in the season, the Raiders have a tough 3-game stretch. No, 4. Oh, geez, actually, because they go home against the Chargers, Thursday Night Football against the Rams in LA, home against the Patriots, at the Steelers, home against the 49ers, and then home against Kansas City.
Yeah, that's the stretch of death right there for sure. But going back to the easy cakewalks that they have leading up to that, we also got to factor in that when they go to Jacksonville and they go to New Orleans, that's a lot of traveling. And if history serves us correct, a lot of teams that's on the West Coast that do East Coast trips traditionally don't do that well on those road trips. So we'll see how it all plays out. But yes, they got a tough schedule to end it out. No doubt about it.
Like you're talking about the West Coast, the Chargers have to come here to play us, and that's a 1:00 game. So that's gonna be like an 11 a.m. start for them.
Yeah, and when you have future Hall of Famer Justin Herbert coming to town, and I don't think he'll be that phased by hopefully we can pull that victory out, but that's why they play the games to see how it actually plays out on the field.
Right. Like when the Bengals played the Jets last year, I think that was the same week the Browns were playing the Steelers. My dad and I are walking to the game, and I'm talking about it. I'm like, yeah, the Bengals are going to win that game easily because the Jets are terrible and all that. And the Jets go out and beat the Bengals. I'm like, well, shit.
And remember when the Jets played the Rams? They almost beat the Rams. Like they were up, I believe, at one point, like 21-3 or something. It's like, what the hell is really going on?
Yeah.
But that's what happens, man.
I don't know what to make of the New York Jets this season. Like, they had a really good draft.
Yeah, they had a decent draft. And again, they have a returning team where, yes, we are young. Yes, we still have a lot of pieces to fill out, but will we see them make that leap? Still, the verdict's still to be determined. But I like you. I don't know what to expect from them either. If I had to guess, I would say they're probably like what 6-11. I'm thinking 5-12. But no expectations are on them, so hopefully they may prove doubters wrong. But I still think they got ways to go.
Yeah. Could you imagine if, let's say, the Browns beat Carolina in week 1, which I'm actually trying to get down to that game because I have a friend who lives in Charlotte. We've been talking about it for a couple years for when the Browns play at Carolina that I would go down there. So hopefully we can work that out. But when was the last time the Browns won a season opener?
Man, you know what? Honestly, I think, and I could be wrong, but I don't think you were born. By the time no, seriously, I think it's been over anywhere from 27 or 30 years ago before we won a home opener, which is crazy. Doesn't even make sense. But man, this is the chance that we finally have to get a first victory. So I got my fingers crossed. We don't want to again just play the paper game and say, yeah, that's a victory. That's a victory because you have to play the game. We got a lot of stuff that's going on in Berea. A lot of clouds that's hanging over the whole Deshaun Watson fiasco. So hopefully we can pull this off. It look like the schedule guys are on our side for a change, but we got to wait and see. Let's pump our brakes and just play the game out. But I really think we could get this victory out.
Maybe that's why we only got 2 primetime games because the schedule makers weren't sure if Deshaun Watson was going to get suspended or not.
And plus, they know expectations. They know that in the past we was the primetime darlings, and we had a bust season. And this has happened 2 times now, and they probably are thinking we're not wasting our time with them no more. Which I like. I like that we don't have the attention. We don't have an X on our back. We aren't in the news, the media circus that, Baker's created. We could put that to bed now, focus on the X's and O's, fundamentals, getting better each week. And 1:00 games, that's good for them. Keep them humble because when they feel it themselves, it gets all bad and it's a shit here.
Yeah, that's a fair argument, actually. I'll give you that one. So here it's going to be an interesting AFC North because you got Joe Burrow, you got Lamar, who I think, even though he has an MVP, I think he still has to prove himself because he hasn't gotten his contract extension with the Ravens yet.
Yeah.
And then you got Deshaun Watson. And then the Steelers are the wild card. How long are they going to keep Trubisky as their starter? When are they going to go to Kenny Pickett? Do they go to Kenny Pickett at all this season?
Fascinating, right? How many times have we even said, how many question marks has been with the Steelers going into a season? And this is probably one of them, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah. But the last time Pittsburgh had a losing season, I believe, was 2003.
Yeah, and that's crazy how consistent they've been, and you have to tip your hat to them, man. It's I would give anything in the world to have that type of success that they've had. But if any season is going to be a down season, this is it, and I hope it is.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to transition to NBA playoffs now because we got game 2 tonight, Eastern Conference Finals, Celtics, Heat.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have told me that the Celtics were going to come out and win 3 quarters in game 1, I would have said, okay, Boston's going to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. That
did,
third quarter, what the hell happened to the Celtics?
Man, great. That's a great question because that was a historic thing that we witnessed in that third quarter. It just seemed like Jimmy Jordan comes to life. Jimmy Butler, for those tuning in. They made those halftime adjustments. They came out. They were clamping down Tatum. They were clamping down Brown. They were searching. The Celtics were trying to search for answers to get buckets, and they just couldn't. They were shooting. They were missing it. They just nothing was falling in their favor in that third quarter, and Miami Heat just flourished on it, and they took advantage of every single help that the Celtics gave to them, man. And they weren't able to rebound, and I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to linger on today. But that was historic that we witnessed that day.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I'm concerned about with Jimmy Butler. He always seems to turn it on in the playoffs, right?
Right.
But here's the thing. He'll have a huge game like this, or like what he had in game 1 where he goes off for 40-plus points, but then he's not able to follow it up with a performance in game in the following game. Like, he'll go from having like a 40-point game to like 15 the next game. And it's like, what? Didn't you just put, like I said, didn't you just put up 40-plus points in your last game? Like, something's,
consistency.
Like, something's not adding up here.
Yeah, his consistency level. He is not a consistent guy. I mean, he's consistent overall when it comes to the playoffs, that is. But there was an interesting stat that said in the regular season, how many times have he scored over 40 points in like the last 6 years? 0. And I was really caught off guard because he's had 5 in the playoffs since that time frame. So he's not the same guy at all. But like you've alluded to, he's not going to give you consistent 40-point efforts each single night. That just doesn't happen. But one thing that is consistent is his defensive approach. So he'll still keep on the intensity on the defensive side of the ball, which we could expect that from him. But those burst of, I'm sure Celtics will counter that, and they definitely will make him have to go to someone else.
Yeah. That's what I'm concerned about, which Marcus Smart is expected to play tonight. We'll see if he's at 100%. Kyle Lowry is not playing tonight, but
He's playing all year.
Miami's been all right without him. I think they're 7-0 in the playoffs without him. I'm not sure if Al Horford is going to play tonight. I don't think so, because he's still in health and safety protocols. And then their backup point guard, Derek White, he's not going to play tonight. So that puts even more pressure on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because, yeah, you got Marcus Smart back, but is he going to be at 100%? My guess is no. Al Horford's not going to be there, so you don't have as easy of driving lanes because Bam Adebayo is going to be like, hi, I'm here to clog the lane.
Hey, this is what it comes down to. This is playoff basketball. So if Tatum, if you want to be a superstar and you consider yourself a superstar, if Brown consider himself a superstar, okay, you don't have your role players. Now, what are you going to do? How are you going to compensate for them not being on there? Because at the end of the day, you two are the main pieces, and of course, with Smart, but y'all are the main focal points of this team, and you are the heart and soul. And if you want to put yourself on the map as well as Boston, this is where you do starting tonight.
Yeah. It's actually interesting that you bring up like Jaylen Brown having to make his mark on this game, because I did a video while Game 7 was happening between the Bucks and Celtics, and I was saying, like, if the Celtics wanted to win that game against Milwaukee, Jaylen Brown needed to score a minimum of 29. I didn't know Grant Williams was going to go nuts and shoot like a crazy amount of 3-pointers at the time, obviously. But like Jason Tatum had just scored 46 points in Game 6. So you knew the Bucks were going to pay extra attention to Jason Tatum. So I'm like, okay, Jaylen Brown, you were drafted to play alongside Jason Tatum. Go out and prove why you're the Robin to Jason Tatum's Batman.
Yeah, he and I agree with you on that. Like you got to come like, where has Brown been? I'll go to the last few years when the Celtics really needed Jaylen. Where exactly was he to be found? And it was really put on a milk carton, to be honest. He only give you them subpar 22 points here, 24 there, but your team needs you to score 30 or up. This is the playoffs, and he's got to show up, man. Tatum can only do so much by himself. They need Brown to step his game up to a higher level, because right now I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I'm not impressed either. Like, I'm impressed by Jason Tatum. I personally think he already is at that superstar level, but I get your hesitancy. But Jaylen Brown, if the Celtics want to win this series and potentially win in the finals against probably Golden State, Jaylen Brown needs to show up.
Has to.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the Western Conference Finals, do I think Dallas can possibly make it a series? Maybe, but like, I think Golden State has the advantage in basically every spot.
Yeah, they got the leadership. They have the veteranship. They've been here before. They have the loudest crowd, toughest environment by far to play in, and they have 3 potential Hall of Famers. Whereas Dallas, they are relying heavily on Luka. And I've been clear, Luka's my favorite player, but there's been times where Luka's game mirrored James Harden, which is that just dribbling, and you can't sustain that. Like, there's just no way to win a championship in that style. And he recently changed his game to letting Dinwiddie play now. Like, he's getting everybody involved, which is good. And you start to see that they have a good team. But I think one unlooked point is Jason Kidd, right? Jason Kidd, no doubt, probably top 3 point guard to ever play the game of basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And he is technically playing point guard for Dallas, even though he's not on the court, but he's reading and assuming, like what they did with the Suns. He was a step ahead of what Chris Paul was doing, which is unheard of, right? And he's improved as an overall head coach. He's not afraid to bark at his players when they need to be barked at. But he's able to make these adjustments, whereas he wasn't doing it in the past when he first started coaching. So his point guard intellect I'm sure he's going to make the proper adjustments. Hopefully, this will go 7 games. I definitely know that it's going to be a cakewalk. And there is the odds of Mavericks winning is probably slim to none. But that's how it was against the Suns, and that massacre they put on Game 7. That right there kind of let me know that this ain't the same Mavericks that we're accustomed to. So.
And I will say with Game 1, like Luka was making the right passes, but like Brunson was missing shots, Dinwiddie was missing shots, Clevo was missing shots.
Yes,
I don't expect them to shoot that poorly again in Game 2.
Yeah, I don't either, and that was just really unheard of. And I think the most striking thing was in the first quarter they were like 3 for, I want to say 20. 24 shooting threes. You just can't shoot that many threes. You can't play Golden State ball against Golden State because you'll lose every single time.
Yeah.
You got to stay true to what's got you there. And what's got you there is hitting those open spot up threes, unlike yesterday when they was missing every time they would shoot the ball, but not shooting as much volume threes as they were, man. Go to the paint. Like, I just don't get it, man. But they just can't do that again if they expect to have any shot at getting a game in this series. So
yeah, right now, if I had to guess, I'm going to say Golden State in 5.
I'm still hopeful. I'm gonna say Golden State in 7. Well, Golden State in 6, Mavericks in 7. So if it goes 7 games, I'm taking the Mavericks.
Interesting. So you mentioned the Suns and how this was their best opportunity to win the title easily. You would agree with that, right?
Yes, I do.
Absolutely. I don't think Phoenix is getting back to the finals because look at the Western Conference. Dallas is clearly here to stay. Well, I shouldn't say they're clearly here to stay, but they look like they're here to stay. Right. Memphis looks like they've arrived.
Minnesota
is on the upswing. Denver is hopefully going to be healthy next season with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Clippers are going to be back with Kawhi and Paul George. The Golden State Warriors aren't going anywhere
at all. Yeah, that window's shut, buddy. And they got a lot of questions. They got to figure out, are we going to start breaking up the team? Are we going to re-sign
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, sorry about that. And which that's telling right there, because it was a lot of expectations put on him when he first arrived in Phoenix, and he hasn't lived up to the billing.
He was the number 1 overall pick.
Exactly. And when they need him the most, he's a liability. They couldn't even utilize him that much in that Game 7 because of whether they're behind so much and they need 3-point shooting, or they just need a rim protector. They got to make a hard decision. Unfortunately, I think they're going to go in a different direction. I would do a sign and trade versus losing him completely for free. But Chris Paul, he's aged before our very own eyes. He was looking younger round 1, and now he just look like he has no more gas to give.
We also forgot the Pelicans. They look like they're on the upswing.
Yeah, and it looks like that Zion might re-sign with them, which at first they were saying he's going to New York. It was already a given, but he on the court with the talent they already have. Oh my goodness, man! Pelicans is a scary team to watch for, man.
I don't know if I want Zion back with them though. They looked really good without him.
They look good as hell. But hey, NBA is about adding stars. They already have a star. I mean, the kid. I'm going to put this in perspective because a lot of people have already got a chance to see Zion play the last couple of years. But when he first arrived on the scene, he was putting up Will Chamberlain numbers. Like the kid was averaging over 25 points as a rookie. Okay, and his impact, man, his explosiveness. Yes, he's an undersized power forward. They got to figure out what's his position because he's little. He's short, but he's big and stalky. So kind of like how Charles Barkley was, except for he has way more explosiveness than Charles Barkley have, and he's quicker. Uh, they started to use him as a point guard. Like if you remember, they had him bringing up the ball a lot. But
Right.
I'm just interested to see how he plays and mix with them, man, because that's all they're going to do is help them.
Yeah. I'm just worried that he's going to become the next Ben Simmons because there were times where it looked like he also was afraid to shoot the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Zion, you have so much potential. Don't become Ben Simmons. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even when he was with Duke, he would be hesitant at times, but then when he just don't think about it and just let the ball fly, he was hitting some threes, which was surprising. But he definitely got to work on his jumper, something to work on. Hopefully he's been doing that this offseason versus just doing highlight dunks before each game, and work on his conditioning, his health, because he looks a little chunky.
So I think we agree that the Suns' window is completely shut.
Yeah, it's closed.
Yeah. And that's such a shame because, like, a lot of people say Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards of all time.
That's facts.
I would put him top. Would you put him top 5?
Yeah, absolutely. That's facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a shame that, like, he's one of the, like we just said, top 5 point guard. Probably never going to get a ring, though.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate, man. But if you think about it from a different lens, no one's going to ever be better than Magic, who's the best point guard ever, in my opinion. Jason Kidd, number 2. Steve Nash, 3. Right. I got Chris Paul at 4 slot, but he still had a marvelous career. But it's just unfortunate, man. Like unless he go ring chasing, which I think that's the stage he's at now, he's not winning anytime soon in Phoenix. That window has unfortunately closed.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You have Chris Paul number 4. Who you have number 5? Isaiah Thomas?
No, you know what? Isaiah, I'm sorry, I misspoke. So Steve Nash 5. I'm sorry about that. Steve Nash 5, Isaiah Thomas 3, and then I got Chris Paul 4. Sorry about that.
Okay. So you got Magic. Who do you have 2?
Number 2, I had Jason Kidd.
Okay, so you have Magic, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash 3.
No, Steve Nash 5. I edited
Steve Nash 5.
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas 3, Chris Paul 4, Steve Nash 5.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have Magic 1. I gotta give Isaiah the respect he deserves.
Yeah.
I have him 2.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I want to put Stockton in there. I can't quite do it though. I have Jason Kidd 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because I respect that he got his title. I have Steve Nash 4, and I have Chris Paul 5.
You know what? I got one more. I got my eraser and my pencil. Let me make one more adjustment to my list. Steve Nash out. John Stockton in. So John Stockton 5.
So you have Steve Nash 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm done making adjustments. This is the official list now.
All right. Yeah, I think I would have Stockton just outside top 5 at 6.
Mm-hmm. He was great to watch, man. Tough as nails.
Yeah. Where would you put Tony Parker?
Tony Parker I'd say top 15 ever.
Not top 10?
Nah, not top 10, but top 15 for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's not better than Kevin Johnson. Uh,
Yeah. I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
I have a little bit different perspective because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to see a lot of these great point guards in their
Mm-hmm.
prime. So for me personally, I have Tony Parker in the top 10, but I can understand why other people wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tony Parker is Hall of Fame material, no doubt about it. But well, I'm gonna say unfortunately, but I'm blessed to be as old as I am, and I have seen a lot of great point guard play in my time on this earth. So definitely, he is top 15. And again, we're talking about ever to play basketball, so that's something right there, no doubt
Exactly.
about it.
Like that you should nobody should take shame in being top 15. That's still great. Like,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
So would you say Phoenix was the biggest disappointment of the playoffs?
You know what? I got a different take on this. The Lakers are the biggest disappointment of not making the playoffs because they should have made the playoffs, right? And if we're gonna do a power ranking of disappointments, so I
Sure.
got the Lakers, Brooklyn, of course, they got swept the first round, and then I would say the Suns. Yes, you would want the Suns to, of course, uh, do better than what they've done. But again, they did make it was 7 games. It wasn't like they got swept. Okay, so they made second round. Unfortunately, they lost that fourth. I mean, they lost their game 7 on their court, but it wasn't nothing to cry about as versus the Nets getting swept out, and having nothing to show for it but turmoil, and then the Lakers just thinking we forgot that they didn't make the playoffs, so now they're trying to go under the radar. But I'm not going to let it happen because I remember all the talk early the season, all the Vegas saying that they're the favorites to win the title, and everybody calling my phone talking about, oh, King James is going to do this, King James, and then we got Westbrook and King James, and it's like it's the same old story with them. AD's never going to be healthy. People always talking about, well, and I hate this talk from Laker fans. Yeah, King James is going to do this. Westbrook is going to be great, and then if AD is healthy, like you always hear that sentence, right? And we need to eliminate that sentence because he's not going to be healthy. Westbrook, this whole experiment disaster failed, and then they want to put this all on coaching, like he's responsible for this disaster that the buses created. So, well, actually, no, King James created, not the buses. But man, they have to be the biggest disappointments by far, I would think.
Interesting. I do have the Lakers in there. I don't have them number 1 like you do.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have Philly number 1.
Okay.
Because Joel Embiid was MVP favorite.
Mm-hmm.
They bring in James Harden thinking he's the missing piece and all that. And then you get bounced in the second round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I actually have Milwaukee number 2 because they lost in a hard-fought 7-game series against Boston, but you're the defending champions. Like, you have arguably the best player on the planet, in Giannis. A lot of people are saying that. Granted, they didn't have Chris Middleton for this series. That could have made a huge difference. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, like, if you're Giannis, you should be able to maybe overcome that. Like, you still have Drew Holiday, you still have Bobby Portis. Grayson Allen played well throughout the season for them. So I'm not totally letting Milwaukee off the hook.
I think you're being too hard on them, Josh. And the reason why, yes, we of course thought that the Bucks was going to make their way and be playing in the Eastern Conference. But I mean, Middleton is very, very important to what they do in Milwaukee. And Giannis has carried them, albeit he carried them as far as he could carry them. But if Middleton played, I think we agree that they beat Boston, right?
Yeah,
Hell
actually,
yeah, yeah.
I think you and I both said this, that before Giannis had his crazy 50-point game in Game 6, I think Middleton was going to win Finals MVP.
Yeah, yeah, you did. And yes, it's so Middleton is a for sure number two. But he knows his role, and he's going to hit those clutch shots when they need it. And he's going to hit those open knockdown threes without question. But they were asking Bobby Portis Jr. to step up and Grayson to fill in. It was just like, they did as much as they could do, and unfortunately they didn't have enough money to get to inside the show. But hey, they drove all the way up to the parking lot, and got to get them kudos for at least making it there on the empty tank.
Yeah, I'll give him that. Maybe I think you might be right. Maybe I am being a little too hard on them. All right.
I think overachieved, honestly.
All right. And then I guess number 3, I would agree with you about Brooklyn. Like, you have Kyrie and Kevin Durant. You should not get swept.
And Ben Simmons fiasco.
Yes. I would agree with you about Phoenix. Actually, no, I'm going to change it. I'll put Phoenix number 2, Milwaukee 4. I'll flip those because I had to think about it for a second, but I agree. Maybe I was being a little too hard on the Bucks, but I still have them as being a top 5 disappointment.
Yeah, I can understand that. Just hindsight 2020, looking back at the trade, right? At first we said who got the best end of the deal, the Sixers or the Nets. Now that we've had a chance to finally put it to bed, the only thing that this trade gave the Sixers was 4 more points, 4 more points a game.
Yeah,
than I haven't been. This is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, like it might be a wash on that trade.
I mean, who knows? Like, I think, did we all say Philly won that trade?
Yeah, we did. I was playing the fence too much, and 1 week I said the Sixers, then I went back to the Nets, and I was flip flopping. But I think it's a wash.
Yeah, at this point, I agree with you. I think it's a total wash. Like,
he didn't get him Harden in that final game. He didn't even shoot the ball. No, he got 2 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he only took 2 shots? And
yeah.
What are you doing?
That's man. That's. I mean, I'll tip my hat to Embiid. Embiid, you can't say he don't put effort and he doesn't try. He was out there, broken jaw and all. He was there. He did as much as he could do, but when he thought he had a number 2, that guy was nowhere to be found. In fact, I'll say Harden is now been converted to a number 3 option on the team because Maxey surpassed him.
That's why I'm wondering if Philly's going to try re-sign Harden because they saw how good how good of a player Maxey turned into. Do you want to keep James Harden and possibly stunt the growth of Tyrese Maxey?
You know what? That would be interesting. I just thought about this on the fly, but I would trade him for, Ayton. It seems like they both got problems. Ayton would have to be a center. No, I don't know. Just something interesting to think about. But
wait, so what are you suggesting? Trade Embiid?
A straight up. No. You keep Embiid. Embiid is a center, but Embiid is a center that, for some weird reason, plays like he thinks he's a shoot guard or something. So he don't even be in the paint as much as he needs to. Ayton needs a fresh breath of air. If they play together, I think that works. But Harden playing doesn't. I just think they can't re-sign Harden. That'll kill their future. They got to get rid of him.
So you're saying Philadelphia trades James Harden, Phoenix trades DeAndre Ayton straight up.
Yeah, something like that. Straight up. Extra value
What?
meal. I don't know. All I know is both of them aren't staying with their current teams, and their current teams don't want to lose them for nothing. So that's why they paid them all the big bucks, is to make these decisions out.
Interesting. Jeez. You're making me really have to process that one.
Yeah, it's about, and again, hey, I could be quirky with my, coming out of the left field with these things, but I just had an epiphany, and they're gonna have to move. Like, okay, if they pay Harden over 45 million after they just witnessed what he brings to the table and come to the realization he's really the third best, I don't understand why they would try to max him out, given everything that they've seen from him, right? And he's a known quitter. He's going to quit when he's not happy with the situation. He doesn't take his conditioning serious. He'd rather be out in the club versus being locked and loaded for a game. So, but then if he goes to Phoenix, that's going to kill their chemistry there. You know what I mean? It's like, when he was with Houston, Chris Paul couldn't even fix him. So,
exactly.
I don't know what to do with Harden, but I know I'm not going to cut him for free.
That's why I don't like that trade of doing Ayton for Ayton for Harden straight up. I don't think that would work for either team.
Yeah, probably wouldn't, but they still got to make a play. Like, you can't trade. Okay, they can't trade it for each other, but how about this? Lakers, would that make sense? Sending Harden for Westbrook straight up?
Could Harden and LeBron play together?
Mm-hmm. Something to think about right there.
I don't think LeBron and Harden could play together because Harden is so ball dominant, and
yeah, it's
an interesting thought, but I don't think that's a good pairing. But I like your line of thinking.
Like mental exercising today.
Yeah. I like your creativity is off the chain. But I just don't think LeBron and Harden would be a good combo.
I'm feeling very artsy today.
Okay. I'll give you another opportunity. You're the GM of the Cavs.
Okay.
Bring in a superstar. Make some type of trade to bring in, maybe not a superstar, but an all-star caliber player. That makes sense for the Cavs.
Man, this is tough, man. I can't believe you did this to me because you know what I'm about to do now. Man, all right, let's be real about this, right?
You were the one playing general manager, so you probably said yourself.
All right. Okay. Few episodes, I said I didn't want this guy nowhere near the locker rooms of my young, youthful team at the Cleveland Cavaliers, okay? So I've been on record of saying that, but we're pretending that I'm a GM. So now I got to put my GM cap on and take off my fandom, okay? So with that being stated, the Lakers they got Phil Jackson making moves now, or helping them, advising them now, right? And it's well documented that Phil Jackson has tension with the biggest star in LA, right? This kid from Akron. The Cleveland Cavaliers need a 3, right? A small forward. It really seems like it makes sense for Phil Jackson to pick up the phone, give us a call, talk to Kobe and say, hey, you know what? You guys got Sexton that, he was injured, but you got Sexton and we like a core. Oh, and by the way, y'all got the number 14 pick in this year's draft. Hey, we trying to rebuild this thing here and start it all over from scratch. What if we send you the kid from Akron, for those three pieces and a future one, would you be interested in doing that? And I would think the Cavs better be interested in making that deal on the spot because that shores up our three. Because we need a small forward. Let's be real. Once we get that small forward in place, we are set. We got every other position locked up. So, if I was a GM, I think that's the most reasonable, contractual, fluid deal to make.
All right.
If I'm a GM.
All right. I'm going to take the same pieces you offered to the Lakers, but I'm not going to offer them to the Lakers.
Okay.
I'm going to go to our nation's capital. Hey, Washington, would you take those pieces for Mr. Beal?
And you know what? You will be GM of the year. I will be fired because I like your deal. I love that. Hell yeah. So we have Beal. Now, man, that changes the whole game and the dynamics because you can't clog up the middle because we got all of our youth. Hey, man, that you're GM of the year, and I'm Marvel. Absolutely, man.
If we were to make that deal, I just don't know who we would put at small forward.
Well, hey, we could get creative now. You know, that's the beauty. We probably move LeVert. So LeVert could be the small forward. All right. But we know that Beal's going to play like our small forward. And we know our height advantage is going to give other teams problems. So it's kind of like, yes, on paper, this is your position and you're supposed to be a small forward. But on court, we play as the game goes. So
yeah,
I like that.
Okay, so your deal would be Okoro, Sexton, 14th overall pick to the Lakers,
and a future one,
to the Lakers for LeBron.
Yeah.
My deal would be Sexton, Okoro, 14th overall pick, future one to the Wizards for Bradley Beal.
Yeah. If Washington would take that, they probably gonna want more. But with the Lakers, he only got 2 more years left on his deal. Or actually, I think this is the final year, and then it's like a team option for the second year for LeBron. So I don't know, man. I think that's an interesting, enticing deal, no doubt about it, and it's fair.
Yeah. Could you imagine if we had Beal, like that pick and roll with the you could do pick and roll, like the Garland Jared Allen pick and roll was already fantastic. Could you imagine if we break Bradley Beal in, maybe you could do
the Mobley Beal?
Yes, Mobley Beal.
Yeah.
Oh my.
That's fascinating.
I would wonder about is, are Bradley Beal and Darius Garland 2 similar players though?
I wouldn't say that. No, because Beal is a for sure number 2. Garland he's improved this year, which I think he should have got most improved player. I don't know how they gave it to already all-star, but that's neither here nor there. But Garland, he could be a floor general, and I could see he won't be selfish. Like he'll make sure that Beal gets his open shots. Beal takes off the pressure off of Garland, because if when we was in the play-in, teams were now say, okay, Garland, you the guy we keep hearing about. Now we about to give you all the attention you need. And it seemed like Garland was kind of struggling, trying to find his shots that he was used to getting in that regular season.
I mean, I wasn't surprised when we lost to Brooklyn in the play-in tournament, although we kept it closer than I thought it was going to be. But my God, that Atlanta game was so freaking frustrating.
I woke up and cried this morning. Yeah.
We were up 14 in that game. And then in the second half, you knew Trae Young was going to start. ignite because we had held them to what, 3 points in the first half, something like that. But in the second half, we kept switching like Lowry Markkinen onto him, Evan Mobley onto him. I was just yelling at the TV, stop switching Evan Mobley and Lowry Markkinen onto Trae Young. That's a matchup nightmare.
Yeah, Markkinen was getting worked too. He was getting worked. Like, yeah. And if you got Bill is a way better defender. You know what I mean? So, man, we having a whole different talk. Had Bill been on our team, we would have beat the Nets because we only lost by 4. All right. Bill is at least going to give us a good 25.
Wait, I thought it was an 8-point game when we. I think it was an.
It was close, and it was like, yeah, they free throws, and it kind of put it a little further. But we were in that game. We could have won that game. We didn't, and it's because we didn't have that reliable for sure. Okay, we know he's going to hit his open shots. We know he's going to come defend. So
right, it was one for that. For the playing game against the Nets, it was 115 to 108.
Okay, 7. All right, but it was still like it was close. I remember it was close going into it.
Yeah. So, right when I look at going back to the playoffs, the only finals matchup that's like doesn't get me extremely excited would be Dallas against Miami round 3. Like, I don't know. Something about that matchup just doesn't get me excited and all that. But Dallas-Boston, I think that would be a great matchup. Golden State-Boston would be a fantastic matchup. Think about this for a second. If you get Boston against Golden State, you've got Marcus Smart against Steph Curry, Klay Thompson against Jaylen Brown. I guess you could say Andrew Wiggins against Jason Tatum, and then Al Horford against Draymond.
I'll tell you this much: next week's show, we'll have more of a clue on who's going to be the matchups, and it's going to be very spicy. So you want to make sure that you take your Tums before you watch next week's show.
Oh yeah. And also on next week's show, we are going to be previewing AEW Double or Nothing because that pay-per-view is next Sunday. And we also have the Indianapolis 500 going on next Sunday. So, and if Boston and Miami go to Game 7, it's going to be on that Sunday. So, next Sunday could be a very spicy sports day.
It sure can, man. Sure can.
Yeah. We've got some Stanley Cup playoffs tonight. Battle of Florida. Tampa Bay is leading that series 1-0. Panthers have got to win tonight if they want to have a chance at winning this series.
Yeah, and they was the favorites coming into it. So
yeah, I don't want to see the Lightning win the cup again because that would be 3 Stanley Cups in a row for Tampa Bay. Like, man. No.
Yeah, we got to have that dynasty talk.
Yeah. I mean, the Stanley Cup playoffs, I don't know which have been more exciting, the NBA playoffs or the Stanley Cup playoffs, because there was only like one bad series in the first round of the Stanley Cup, which was Colorado-Nashville, because Colorado swept Nashville. But every other series was great. We had over this past weekend, we had 7 Game 7.
7. That's amazing. Yeah.
5 in the NHL, 2 in the NBA. 2 of them were ended in overtime. I mean,
yeah, NHL that's where it's at, man. I keep telling everyone they have the best playoffs in sports, and it's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you watched last night, but we got the Battle of Alberta, Edmonton against Calgary. They hate each other. It's like, I would say it's the NHL equivalent of Ohio State against Michigan.
I seen the Islander game, and the Islanders, of course, didn't pull it out. But yes, I'm more into Calgary rivalry for sure.
Yeah, the final score of that game was 9-6.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's not a typical hockey score.
At all. At all. That's equivalent to a game being 63 to 55 in football.
Yes. Unless you're watching arena football. Then you can get that kind of score.
Right.
But I think we're going to wrap things up for this week's episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the Sports Generals on YouTube. Also subscribe to Manalytics as usual.
Yes, sir.
And subscribe to Unger to the Max.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you like this video on YouTube, whether you're watching it here on the Sports Generals YouTube channel or when I post it later on the Unger to the Max YouTube channel. Are you going to post it on your channel, Jay?
Yes, I am. Because I got a lot of stuff cooking. I just been, so busy with finals and getting stuff done. But I got a lot of heat coming, and this will be on my page for sure. Manalytics as usual. Official Manalytics as usual.
Yep. You are the founder of Manalytics. I am the founder of Unger to the Max, by the way. Hey, by the way, I have a goal this season to do a video collaboration for every game on the Browns schedule. I'm going to be trying to find an opposing team's fan YouTuber, but maybe during the week also, we'll do some type of video collaboration.
Oh, yeah. In fact, we could book it now. Let's do the Charger game.
Okay. You got it.
I'm a Browns fan, but I'm a realist, and Justin Herbert is going to the Hall of Fame. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but we will do a collabo mixtape.
Okay. I used to have a powder blue LaDainian Tomlinson jersey, but it disappeared years ago, and I'm so bad about it because he's my all-time favorite player.
Yeah, somebody booked you for that probably.
I don't know if we got rid of it because it was too small on me. I would never have given it away. Maybe I don't know what happened, but I need to get another one because he's my all-time favorite player. So I need it back. But we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Be safe.